Welcome to Old Guys Still Rock. Super grateful you gave us a look or a listen. We specifically developed this podcast for friends or soon-to-be friends who are in the 40-plus category. This podcast is a platform to not only have your voices be heard, but also for others who are going through the same thing and know that they too aren't alone. Our topics may be business, topics may be entrepreneurship, our topics may be social, or our topics may be just everyday life. Whatever it is, we hope that you give it a share and leave us a comment. But most of all, if you want your voice to be heard, please leave us a comment on how to get a hold of you so you too can be an old guy that still rocks and help build our community. Until we speak again, stay safe, but most of all, God bless. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. If this is your first time here, you've just reached the best podcast in the world that you have never heard. And I am Blair Armstrong of Team Armstrong, Coldwell Banker. I am a global luxury specialist in the world of residential real estate. And on my right, possibly your left, depending on how this records today, is a good friend of mine for almost 30 years and co-host of this show, Brent Wright of Brent Wright Incorporated. He's located in beautiful Eugene, Oregon, and a man with many hats, from wellness centers to payroll companies to invest to property management, body shops, even does some business coaching and personal coaching along the side. We'll get into kind of how this podcast in a roundabout way is lengthy conversations on walks years ago led to this podcast. And so here we are sharing our wisdom with you. We've had some great guests in the past, and we'll talk about a little bit too. But before we get into that, brother, how are you? What is going on in your world?
Doing well, doing well. You didn't tell us where you're hailing from today.
I know, but the picture behind me should kind of let you know just a little bit.
Yeah.
My wife and I are on our yearly take a breath, get away before season starts in the desert. We're in a beautiful island of Maui. Even closer yet, we're in actually Kaanapali at the Maui Ocean Club. So we're super grateful. This is our third year here. I was just telling Chrissy the other day, she brought me here 3 years ago, actually kind of in the middle of the pandemic a little bit, actually right towards the end of it. And I'm like, I've never been to Hawaii. It's not a big deal. It's really cool. Not gonna lie, it's pretty awesome to see sea turtles every day. Once in a while, you get to see some dolphins and stuff like that. And it's really, at the end of the day, is kind of what we're going to talk about today, which we'll get into the topic here. But it's a time for us to regroup and take a deep breath for 10 days, reconnect a little bit, knowing that we're going to basically be two ships here going out. She's got a great thriving business in a boutique. Obviously, a real estate company is doing well. And so now we get to kind of just be by ourselves. It's cool too. I get to see my brother out here and my sister-in-law and some of their kids. So that's just a nice little time out, and really thank God about everything that you have been given to even have the opportunity to this. It's not bragging about being out here. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that make this happen.
Then brag.
It's a grind.
Then
right?
brag.
Yeah, it's a grind. Right. This is the part of it. But again, without God giving the gifts that He's not only given Chrissy and myself, this would never happen. So just super grateful for that. I mean, I was just outside this morning. So we have a little patio, if you may, and it overlooks the ocean. The moon's down in there. If you guys follow me, you might have saw the moon over Maui the other day. But you do in your Bible study out there, it's it's awesome. Not gonna lie, but again, so when we're recording this, typically for you guys who don't know, we typically record like 9 o'clock on Thursdays. Today is Thursday. Brent is in the 9 o'clock hour. I'm actually in the 6:15 hour right now. but we're good. So I'm actually very excited that we get to share this with you today. Super excited about this topic because it kind of just talk about what I just went over for the last couple of minutes. But
Yeah.
so anyway, what's going on in Eugene, Oregon? Football season's back in their churches. Kids are back in school. So much going on.
Yeah. Yep. Day 53. 75 hard for me. So I'm right in the thick of my irritation phase, I guess you'd call that. So the 40 to 50 days are the tough ones because that's when you're just exhausted. You're waterlogged from drinking a gallon plus fluids a day, and you're just exhausted from the daily doubles and all the things. And the 50 to 60 is what I call the irritation phase. It's really what tests your patience and your emotional intelligence, which we talked about 2 or 3 episodes ago. And so for me, our topic today is wealth. What is wealth? Most people would consider wealth to be, money or things or stuff or houses or cars or, all of that. You being in Hawaii really emphasized for me a couple of things. One, we always harass each other about I don't go on vacations, but you go on vacations and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I would tell you that what you guys are experiencing or doing is more along the lines of what Alex Hermosi talks about, where you grind until you can't grind anymore. And then you take a little bit of time to refresh, and then you go back to the grind. So I do that often. I just do it in smaller increments. So like I do it in an afternoon on a Sunday instead of finishing out the day and grinding until I fall down at night.
Right.
I'll take 3 hours and spend some time with my kids, playing ball, reading with my daughter, playing dolls, something like that. And so, what you're doing is just a little bit longer than that. You need that time. That's not, I need 3 hours, you need 3 days. Right? I need 10 hours, you need 10 days, right? Different mindsets, sure. Right? And so in talking about wealth, we talked about this earlier before we started recording. What you're doing is just shoring up and making sure that you're reinvesting in yourself. That is what true wealth comes into. It's human capital, social capital, cultural capital, health and well-being, natural capital, time. Time is wealth, right? And so you're utilizing time to recharge, to get your health back in order, to get your social capital. You're investing in your family. You're there spending time with Kelly, your brother and a prior guest, right? Hand delivering your OGSR gear.
And those are in different state. I'll bring it to you. Just make sure we cool. So
Exactly.
I love what you're saying about that because it's so true. I mean, obviously, we talked about a past guest last week. We had a great guest of Matt Lathrop, totally reinvesting. Using the wealth that he has been given through the military, through the fire department, through his kids and so forth. And he's sharing that wealth with these younger kids. And if you guys missed last week's episode, just so many golden nuggets. I definitely go back to that. It was episode number 67. By the way, we're on number 68 today. So that's part of great. And then you have the Kelly Armstrongs that we just talked about today. He's taking the wealth of wisdom that he's been giving, the things that he's seen in his community, and not only investing in his kids, but investing back into his community out here in Maui. And then we have the Ednas and the Joe Daniels, all of these different things. And so sometimes when we hear, when you if someone's going to read the title of this, and like, are you using your wealth? I mean, instantly your mindset typically goes to money. But wealth can be so much more than that, right? And the wealth of what is God gives us so many different things with wealth. Could it be wisdom? Could it be compassion? Could it be joy? Whatever that is. Now that you have that and you understand those things, what I really love Brent saying is how are you using that wealth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one time, and then sometimes you absorb this wealth, like you just said, is you can go ahead and you can take 3 hours, and you can go ahead and have your time off and go away. Where it may take me 10 days to do that, is now I try to take these times and, okay, let's take a breath. Let's re-engage with my marriage. Let's re-engage with and doing some different things where you kind of took things for granted and didn't spend your wealth the right way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just, that's what it's a great time for us to regroup out here as well. I mean, you take your wealth, and not only do you share it on this podcast, but you share it with your employees. Now you have business coaching on here. Uh,
Yeah.
your wealth with Lincoln, right? I mean, how's Lincoln's foot, by the way?
Pretty well healed up, and I think it was Monday night or Tuesday night. He's like, because we told him that he needed to get up a little bit early because he needed to finish some homework in the morning. And he's like, well, I just want to get up with you and I'll go for a walk. Then I'll finish my homework. We're like, okay, we gotta let your foot just take a little breather, buddy.
Right.
We got to make sure that you're not hurting yourself, for the future, for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Because there's no benefit in that for any of us. And so he's on fire to get back in the saddle. And I'll be honest with you. I thought that having an 8-year-old on my ruck every morning was slowing me down a bit. It has been a struggle. That kid was keeping up with me. It has been a struggle for me to increase my lap times. So my lap time, I've been able to drop, like, shave a minute and a half off on a pretty consistent basis.
Yeah.
But I'm not too far off our combined lap time.
Really?
And so I'm doing a mile. I think this morning I did a mile in like 14 and a half minutes.
That's pretty good.
And
that's a good clip.
And with him, and that's up and down hills, right? So that's not just a walk around a flat track or anything like that. It's on gravel. It's in the middle of nowhere. So it's dark 30 when I'm doing it at 5 a.m. And with him, we were pretty consistent, right around 16 and a half minutes a mile. And so not too far off for an 8-year-old. I was pretty impressed. I was sitting there judging myself this morning going, not much better than an 8-year-old.
Well, I mean,
I gotta hustle.
Even at 16 and a half minutes, 16-minute mark is pretty good. I know that if I don't walk for a little bit, I'm kind of seeing what you're saying. I can get up to 17 minutes because you adjust your pace, right? Like, okay, I can walk a little bit faster. And then when you hear that, I'm like, okay, I got to pick up the pace and doing those different things. But that's good, man. I'm glad that he's doing well. It's one thing that I've been sitting here, and Chrissy and I had dinner with my brother and his wife, Sabina, the other night. And I don't know if I ever told you about this, but obviously the fires in Maui last year were catastrophic. Driving through here is it's crazy. It's
a war zone.
Yeah, I mean, it's just massive devastation. But Kelly's second oldest son, Pierce, was actually caught in the fires for 48 hours. They don't know. He got caught in between where the fires were and to where his house was. And for almost 72 hours, they didn't know where he was. And so anyway, we were talking about this. This does play into wealth. So he was busily helping people get out of places, saving people, directing stuff, getting food to people, all these different things. And here's this kid is 18 years, 17 years old, 18 years old, doing things that some of us adults will never not only experience but do. What we were talking about now that he got a full ride scholarship to Rome for track, University of Rome in Italy. That's a pretty cool little
good job.
Go and do college in. But we were talking about all the wisdom that he got from that experience, and some things that we'll never understand. There's things that he won't talk about. But he wrote a poem, and I posted, and then he he read it. So the poem was kind of posted,
Yeah.
and he read it, and it's on a Facebook post a while back. But we were talking about the wisdom that he gained from that, and then he wants to go do 4 years over in Rome, gain knowledge, and then he's going to come and bring that. What we're going to talk about this. Well, he's coming back to Maui. I mean, he's Colin stated that he's going to bring that back and help continue to rebuild what was taken away from Maui and the families in here. So I find that incredible. And I always go back to what God instills into you, really investing into trying to find out what your purpose is, understanding what that is. And even if there's a catastrophic loss, like he experienced, not only went through COVID, then he had to get to go to school, do all these different things, then this fire hits, but he still wants to come back here and help the people of Maui, help reinvest in Maui and build a life here and share his wealth with this community. I think that's phenomenal. Sorry for my voice keeps going out. Still a little bit early. Maybe on vacation.
Nice.
So anyway.
Yeah, that is true wealth, is when you get to a point where you can reinvest in society. That's what we would call cultural wealth, right? Because you can develop your skills, knowledge, and education, and then add advantages to others in that process, right? So we've talked about this before, is pulling somebody up the mountain. So then you're transferring your wealth to them.
Exactly.
And true wealth. So when I do my IMs in the morning, and I do it with my son when he's on the ruck with me, we talk about things like, I am highly favored and blessed. We talk about, I am successful in all ways. I am wealthy in all ways. So I don't want to just be wealthy monetarily. I want to be wealthy in all the ways, including human, social, cultural, health, natural, time, all of those ways. Those are the ways that I am manifesting for myself and my family to be wealthy in, not just monetarily. Because go ahead.
I love our conversations like this because it brings, if I have like trigger things. So one of my, going back to, because we're talking about monetary, well, more than monetary, but how fleeting financials can be. And doing one of my devotionals a couple of days ago, I'm going to kind of butcher this a little bit, but there's a picture of an eagle on back of a dollar bill, and basically stating that as quickly as you get money, that money can fly away. And this is fine. I mean, we've talked about that in the past too. But again, going back to what we talked about last week of being an heir, now this week talking about being wealthy. So here we are. It's like, okay, we understand that money is something that we can use and buy things and do some different things, but the wealth that will never go away is stuff that you've gained from the wisdom. For what you said is the IMs. I wanted you to kind of go back and explain that, how you developed that, where you got that from. But using that, it's like, okay, I'm helping myself out, but now I'm taking that and instilling that into my son, who will be an heir, and then taking those IMs and helping his family when he grows up. But before we get off on the tangent, how did you develop? Where did you come up with IMs? Was it something that you read? Was it a certain book? And how did you implement that into your family?
Yeah, so there's a number of books that it's in that I've read. In transference of knowledge and transference of wealth, there's not a lot of new principles over the last 2,000 years. Most of them fall back to the Bible. We've talked about this before. It's a guidebook, right, on how to live. And so most people that are writing self-help, motivational stuff and things like that are all based upon similar principles. And so I am are just a manifestation. So you could read a book on manifestation and hear about I ams. You could read The Power of One More, and Ed Milet talks about I ams. You can read anything from Andy Frisella, Alex Hormozy. Pick somebody that's really relevant today, and they're all talking about manifestation in some way. Robin Sharma, I can, the list goes on. And so I try to utilize the tools that others are using and the cheat codes that others are using to be successful for them. I want to duplicate their success in myself and in my family. And so the IMs was just a natural progression into that. And I wanted to change it up a little bit because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't just asking God, spirit, the universe for monetary things. I didn't want to ask God, spirit, or universe for things that were just applicable to me, that would only help me as a, in a selfish way. I wanted to make sure that I was asking for things that I could replicate, duplicate, and honor or offer to others at the same time. So the IMs for me are not just for me. They're for anybody that's in my sphere, anybody that's within a stone's throw, as they say, right? So if I can impact you, if I could show you or teach you how to do manifestations and IMs, then your life is going to exponentially grow. If I can do that for my son, then over the next 500 or 1,000 years, that's going to be life changing, right? I mean, my son's already talking about in our discussions. He's already talking about how he wants to be a good father, how he wants to be a good husband. Dude, at 8 years old, I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking about, where can I ride my bike to tomorrow? How far can I go? Right? Because we lived way out in the country. So to experience anything in life, you had to ride 10 miles.
Right.
And so that was my focus, was, where am I going to ride my bike to? What am I going to do tomorrow? He's already thinking about, how can I be a better father and a better husband in the future?
That's good.
And that's crazy to me.
Obviously, being a part of your life for almost 30 years now, is all I'm thinking about is like, those are the things, right? You became an heir from you were an heir from what your parents gave you. And now he's becoming an heir of the things that are like, okay, these are the things that when I was a kid, if I was going to change anything, I would do this, right? And then before you met April and had kids and doing different things, it's like, when I become a dad, these are the things that I want to change, doing the power of one more, breaking that mold, whatever it may be. And now Lincoln and your daughter, obviously, as well. I mean, there's just so many different things that this goes on to your employees. Yet we're just using Lincoln as an example right now, is becoming an heir to the hurdles that you've had, the wins, the losses, and all these different things. And so we can call him a servant for a lot of ways, but it's what his culture is. It's what his surrounding is. And I think the cool thing about this is, you've been a dad later on in life, that it's never too late to make those adjustments to help kids, either super young or even older, and allowing them to take over and become heirs and become wealthy in the things that you have learned about or experienced, so that they can go ahead and then go down to the next generation, or to their kids and their friends or their family. I mean, the ripple effect of what you just said is so much bigger, because now Lincoln is going to go through school. He's going to go ahead and talk to his buddies and do some different things and share some different experiences. And somehow, some way, his friends are going to absorb that and share that probably with their parents. They're like, who is this Lincoln kid? Where's he coming from? And I just love that, that he is. It's a special moment that you guys get to share. And again,
Yeah.
we talk about Lincoln all the time, and your daughter does so much more than that too. So, uh,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to downplay, what my daughter's doing. It's just the dad son relationship is typically what you would consider passing the torch, right? And so that's why I talk about that. My daughter is exponentially smarter than me.
right,
Uh, by by leaps and bounds. She remembers uh, what we gave her on her second birthday and who gave it to her. Like if we when we had a birthday party, she's like, this thing, I got this on this day. Like she is a date. She's a date and numbers person. Everything with her, she knows exactly what day and time something happened, and she can recount it from memory
right.
quickly. She is a highly skilled reader. She's reading the same books that I'm reading. I mean, absolutely.
That's phenomenal.
Her when we go to the library, she's picking out books that are an inch thick, and she's killing them in a couple, 2 or 3 days. And she reads in the evening.
How old is she now?
She's 10.
God, it seems like
Yeah,
yesterday, man.
I know. I
That's
know. It's
incredible.
crazy.
You know, and another thing I'm thinking about, again, for those of your first time here, this is our therapy Thursdays, and we kind of go through some stuff on here. But um, and I see a lot of it is not just your stuff. I see it with my brother. I see it with my son and some different families, and you just see more of it is going back to that nuclear family. They're reinvesting into their kids to where for so long, it was a single parent household. Does it still happen a lot? But now you're kind of starting seeing some different things that are happening to reinvest in not only marriages, which is another form of wealth, but now I'm going to reinvest in kids and doing some different things. Now, I'm not saying if you're a single parent that's bad. I'm just saying there's just been a change, kind of reinvest and getting back into that family unit. Obviously, we see it a lot here in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from grandma, and grandpas to the guys that bring their family, and it's just their time. Like, okay, you kind of get to shut out the world for a little bit, and you get to come in and just like be locked in with everybody and playing the pool, playing the ocean, going out to dinner and doing something. It's just really cool to see because you kind of when you get back into the real world. For me, this is I want to call fantasy land. It's a
Yeah.
little bit different life. It's go gadget, and you can get sidetracked very easily. So hopefully, this is what I'm hoping this trip does for me as I continue to progress forward, is to have these little trigger moments, um, and to use those as wisdom and use them as well to go ahead and when times get a little rocky and stuff like that in a relationship, that you're like, okay, remember when you were in that situation in Hawaii and how you handle it then? Why can't you handle that the same way here? And that will be a part
Yeah.
of wealth, that not only sharing with families and friends, community and stuff like this, or sharing this on this podcast. This is a tremendous amount of wealth that we give everybody on every week, that realistically we don't have to do. And I'm not saying that we're
Mm-hmm.
better than anybody else. I'm just saying it's like we have wisdom, you have wisdom, I have wisdom. Uh, our spouses will input some stuff outside of this episode. What if you said this? What if you did this? Um, that we continue to share this, and I think that's what we're missing right now. Um, in this world of crazy information that floats around there, this is where we get to come and actually talk about reality. And I love that.
Yeah. So interesting side note. Again, what you said kind of triggered something in my brain. A lot of people ask me all the time, like, do you take a regular vacation? Do you take time off? Do you do these? I have worked really, really hard to create a life that I don't have to escape from.
Mm-hmm.
Every day is a vacation for me. Every day is Fantasy Island. Every day.
Yeah.
And from simple things like a quick trip to our coast house or Simple things like just going to jujitsu with the kids on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Simple things like, for instance, at the ranch today, we have another calf that is likely to be born either today or tomorrow.
That's awesome.
We had my kids get to experience firsthand the building of a life that you don't have to escape from. Something that I didn't ever have the ability to do when I was a kid. All I heard was work like a slave,
Mm-hmm.
50 weeks a year,
Mm-hmm.
take a week off, and then come back to it. And then escapisms on the weekends. Like, how many people do you know that are like, man, sure glad it's Friday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gonna sit around and watch TV all weekend and check out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check out this weekend. You know, how many times do you hear people saying that? Like, have they built? Do they truly feel wealthy? No matter how much money they have, no matter what kind of car they have, no matter what kind of house they have. If you ask them, I'd be willing to bet you that they don't feel wealthy.
Yeah, definitely avoiding that, right?
Yeah,
Of doing that.
It's a tactic to tell yourself that everything's going to be okay. And it's really not, because you haven't built a life that you don't have to escape from. Escapism is, in my mind, it's worse than alcoholism.
Yeah.
And then people combine those two.
You know, I think what you said back there, and wonder if you guys want to go rewind probably about 2 or 3 minutes in there. What Brent said is really, really good. Is that he has, over the course of time, a lot of hard work, and it may be different for a lot of people what the time is, but he has that freedom that he can, as I said, he can escape for a day to do some different things. Now that may be different, and but enjoying the moment and being in that moment for a bit, I think that's a big thing in there. Are you still with me? Okay, you're right there.
Yeah. Yep.
The reason why I just said that, guys, is because we had a little technical issue earlier. But anyway, I think that's a big thing too, is realizing that no matter where life has us at a certain time, that it's still a good thing. Being at a soccer game, right? It's a cool moment.
Yeah.
You get to experience that. Having even to a special time of having a special moment with one of your employees, a learning moment. It's a cool thing. Yes, we can, your special moments with the spouse, that little handhold or something like that is like, life is pretty good. And you don't have to wait till Friday to do that. Every day can be a Friday. It's a hard mindset. And when I say this stuff, this is the stuff that after this episode, I'm going to practice that stuff. It's just something that you have to work on it. It just doesn't come to like, okay, I want this to happen. No, it's just like training, like everything else we do too. Going back to what Brent said about I ams. I am going to be better at this. I am grateful for that. Those are type of things that keep those.
I am present.
Right.
One of your I ams needs to be I am present. Because right now, I guarantee you're already thinking about what you're going to be.
Over to the side here, and she goes, "Yeah, I struggle with being present, man."
Well, because you're already thinking like, when I get back, I'm going to do this. When I get back, I'm going to do this. Just sit in it.
Right.
If you step in dog poop, just stand there for a second.
Yeah.
No different than life. In everything you do, you must be present to be able to truly count it as wealth.
Yeah. And, we go back, and I've said this a bunch of stuff. It's also come from your upbringing. It really doesn't matter what your upbringing. I'm going to use mine as like, you got to do this, this, and this. What's next? And until you realize that, it's very hard to shake. It's embedded sometimes in your DNA, and you have to make some drastic changes to do that. But again, it's constant work on it. It's
That's why we have Therapy Thursdays.
Therapy Thursdays, right? We've been taught so much. I want to go back to Matt Lathrop was great. Obviously, conversations between you and I, but the Ednas and the Joe Daniels and the Ken Johnsons and McCumbers and stuff like that. Those were wisdom moments. Those were wealthy moments for us and for our the people that watch our episodes. So I just think it's very cool that there's hope and there's faith of things that, hey, you know what, the window isn't closed, which we've talked about this. It just, you got to go into there and open it up and then crawl through it. And there's opportunities still, no matter what age you are, to create wealth beyond your possible your imagination. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And it may be a struggle a little bit, and you're going to fall down and scrape your knee and do some stuff today, but just don't be afraid to get back up and utilize what Brent and I are sharing with you today, or the past 67 episodes back there. There's little golden nuggets. I promise you that if you go back and just watch tidbits here and there, that when you are struggling to gain independent wealth, if you may, with so many, and again, taking out finances and stuff like that, those are things of knowing that you are not alone in the struggle, and that everybody has them. It's okay. You're not weird, but just know that there's other people that have gone through them and ways to get through them.
I personally am okay with being weird. I mean, most people would tell me I'm definitely different, and and I don't fit the norm, and I'm good with that. I don't want to be normal.
Well, none of us
I definitely
normal, right?
don't.
We talked about that, but we're all made individual. We're all made for a special purpose. Yep. We have different fingerprints, different DNA, so on and so forth. And really, I'm saying that, well, you know, I'm like him. Yes, we will have similarities for different things like that. But I hope when you're, you know, when you guys are watching this today, is really understand is you do have a special purpose, and really dive into that. Maybe you know that, and if that's the case, then let us know what your purpose is and how you can go ahead and help others. We've always asked that. We're starting to get more of those comments back, and we appreciate that. But how are you going to share your wealth? How are you going to create, you know, heirs for the things that you've gone through? And as again, as I said a couple of minutes ago, these sessions help me. I'm like, okay, what's next for me? How am I going to do that? How am I going to become a better Blair? How's Brent going to become a better Brent? How's a Lincoln going to become a better Lincoln? Chrissy and April and all these different things. How do we become better? What mistakes are we going to fine tune and trigger and utilize this so we become more wealthy as a person? And in wealth as in, again, forget the monetary wise, but wealthy as in wisdom. So
I'm going to give you the biggest cheat code for building wealth. It's probably one of the most beneficial cornerstones of building wealth, financial, spiritual, cultural, all the things that we talked about today. And I don't want to discount financial wealth. Financial wealth is huge.
Massive.
I want to be financially well off so that way I can offer more to give back to society, to my church, to the school, to the other nonprofits that I donate to. So I definitely want to make sure that I'm being financially wealthy as well, because I can make a damn difference there. Huge.
Right.
That moves the needle pretty hard and pretty fast. But the biggest cornerstone of wealth, instead of asking yourself every day, what will I receive today? Ask yourself, what will I give today?
So good.
And when you answer that, that is truly when you will become wealthy.
I love that, man. And it's not so, it's what you give today and then and make that a habit, right?
Yep.
Make that a habit.
100%.
So I don't know if we're going to April got pretty close to 45 minutes today.
Yeah. I think we're good. We don't want to go to Joe Rogan.
To Joe Rogan,
I want you to get your
a lot of good stuff out there
little,
today, man.
yeah.
But
Get your nap in before you hit the golf course, right?
no, we are. It's a beach day today. Got a little bit of rock lobster skin on what's today on Tuesday, so I took a time out yesterday, and we had a Blair and Chrissy day yesterday. No family and no more. We got ourselves a little cabana and sat and watched the ocean.
And you guys are still alive. You didn't kill each other. Bonus.
It's awesome, man.
Yay! See, that's wealth.
We talked about it, I think on so we got here Monday and Tuesday. I'm like, how do we do this twice a year? So we got to figure that out. We'll figure it out too.
I say, how do you do it once a month for 3 or 4 days?
That's too. Yeah.
Right. So if you're gonna dream, guys, dream to the nth degree. Again, build a life you don't have to escape from.
Right.
Could you imagine taking a 4-day weekend once a month and seeing your brother and hanging out with family?
That's a cool thing too. You forget about it because we kind of like having our own spot. I mean, the place that we stay at, I'm not gonna lie, it's really cool. But my brother is literally like 8 minutes away, and we could come in here whenever we want and stay there and do some stuff. But it's cool. So. And I feel like, and I feel weird about this too, is like, this is not a bragging thing. This has nothing to do with anybody else. This has everything to do with where our life is right now. And I would probably say 5-6 years ago, actually, Chrissy would attest to this right now, like, it wasn't a big deal. This is a massive deal for me to be with my wife.
Well, you're uncomfortable, right?
Well, it's not. It's not. There's
so mentally,
you're a lot of people that get to experience what her and I get to experience this week.
Right. But mentally, you're uncomfortable. You're like, do I deserve this? Is this something I should be thinking about? Like, should I be here? Right. I've done that.
Yeah.
And the answer is, you're damn right. You should be there.
We deserve it.
Right.
What we go through. Absolutely. I'm just not one of those guys that been bred to like, hey, we're doing this, and this is not a big thing. This is therapy that's needed for us to be a better couple and better family person, so on and so forth. So
just do it. So just figure out a way to do it more.
Yeah, absolutely.
And create more wealth for yourself and your wife.
Right. So,
yep.
It's awesome.
On that,
I can't
go make a damn difference at the beach.
When we sit on the beach, we literally get to look at that mountain right there every day.
Good.
By the way, which is really crazy, one person owns that island right there. You know who Larry Ellison is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he owns that thing.
Yep.
And then I think about, then my mind goes back to, I said, well, God, that's what Ed Milet would do. It's like, I like this island. I'm going to buy it.
Yep.
Anyway, brother,
exactly.
Let's get out of here, man. But any final thoughts for you?
Just as always, go make a damn difference. Build wealth for you and your family and your community.
Yeah. We're going to go have a beach day, go chase some turtles, have some lunch. Going to connect with my brother a little bit later. But, guys, we'll just say thank you so much again for our past guests. Absolutely phenomenal. Again, thank you last week, Matt Lathrop. Thank you, Joe Daniels. Thank you, Ken Johnson. Thank you, the Ken McCumbers, the Ednas, everyone that's coming in. We got actually working on another guest right now, Gary, that we had a couple weeks ago.
By the way, Kyle
Kyle said
he'd be willing to go in the next couple of weeks.
Perfect.
They're just enjoying the fruits of their new baby. So, yeah.
And he's working hard. I see him grinding. I mean, he had a baby and went right back into his world. So we love you guys. Keep sharing the show. We're starting to build some momentum on here, and we want to keep that plane running. So if this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and then most of all, copy the link either off YouTube and or Spotify, and just send that to all the people that you know, like, and trust, and want to hear this message. But until we see each other next week, stay safe, God bless, but most of all this week, mahalo. Take care of yourself, guys.